What's up, guys? Freddy Football here, and welcome to the first 2024 NFL Draft on this channel. And as always, guys, this is way too soon to be determining exactly who's going to take what. We are not going to do any trades today. We're not doing anything crazy. And honestly, my research and scouting on some of these guys is just not as fluid as our last draft video. I'm just being honest and upfront with you guys. I know a little bit about a lot of people, and a lot of this drafting is going to be based on what I believe to be the best player available. And of course, that's going to be best player available that meets a team need, right? So if the Chiefs are picking, I'm not going to have them pick a quarterback in the first round. That's absolutely dumb. We're doing the first round here, and this is, of course, based on the draft order as of today, which is Halloween, 10/31. So happy holidays, guys. All right, guys, we're just going to hop right on into it. And first up is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, if I'm the Arizona Cardinals GM, I'm a little upset that Kyler Murray got re-signed to such a big contract. Don't get me wrong, he's had his moments, he's had flashes, but he's also had 4 years. And that head coach was supposed to be the best head coach for him. Same guy, same system that he ran in college. And he showed flashes. Undoubtedly, he showed flashes, but flashes don't equal a massive contract like he received. Similar to Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes definitely didn't earn his contract. I mean, you got to put a lot of stuff into perspective, right? That being said, if I am the Arizona Cardinals here, they went ahead, they got their left tackle this last draft. They got some good pieces for an offense, but they're definitely in rebuild. I think competition in the quarterback room is the best option for the Arizona Cardinals. And like I said, I'm not going to trade out of picks. That being said, competition quarterback doesn't equal the first pick in the draft, right? If I'm the Cardinals in real life, I actually look to trade this down. But today, we are going to go ahead and pick up either an offensive tackle, which they already have, so that kind of takes Alumi, wow. I can't even say that name. No offense to him. I know he's a great player, but man, I can't say that. Anyways, we are going to stick with the offense, and we're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. And the Chicago Bears are having the next 2 picks. Now, here's the thing with Chicago. Justin Fields just isn't it, and neither is Baguette. Competition in the quarterback room is something that could push Fields to a higher level, but I really don't think that's happening. I think if Fields is going to succeed, he needs to be in a different system, honestly, on a different team. So if I am the Bears, I know I have had an absolute garbage offensive line. I've had a below average defense. And here I have 2 back-to-back picks. And like I said, can't trade down for more capital. I'm going to go ahead and pick up Caleb Williams with 1. I know that's the generic, like everyone thinks Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes. Hey, the truth is he could be, and he also could not be, right? He could be, he could not be. There's only one way to really figure it out. And that's by seeing if he can change the Bears franchise, kind of like Patrick Mahomes changed the Chiefs franchise, right? So that being said, if I am going to draft back-to-back and I draft Caleb Williams, I am then going to certainly draft another offensive tackle. And I know they have Darnell Wright, who has not been bad, but I am definitely willing to draft someone of OF's quality and ability to block, and I'm definitely willing to help teach one of them to either play the opposite side, right? So we're going to go ahead, QB, offensive tackle off the board, second and third. Now, the Giants are in an interesting situation where they paid Danny Dimes, and I think they really regret that this year because I don't think Danny Dimes has done what you would expect someone who's getting paid that much to do, which is elevate the team even without Saquon. So naturally, I think, maybe we go ahead and get another quarterback in here. But in complete honesty, what they really need is going to be someone to strengthen Danny Dimes' ability or to strengthen their defense. Now, their offensive line isn't complete garbage. I would not recommend picking someone up here. Of course, they have an absolute beast at left tackle there. We could see them taking edge, but we could also see them finally fixing a just historically, and I say historically, meaning in the past decade, just average and crappy defensive back group. And I think that's really the route that we're going to go, which is Kool-Aid McKinstry here. Plus, his name's freaking Kool-Aid, so you can't say that guy's not a top 5 pick, right? You just can't. And going forth, we have the New England Patriots, and you guys already know who we're picking. We're picking Drake May, and assuming Bill Belichick's still the coach GM, he knows that Mac Jones just isn't it. Bailey Zappi, not it. Actually, is Zappi even on their team anymore? I don't think he is. But either way, they do not have the answer at quarterback, and if Drake May falls to them, hey man, you're going to take Drake May. And I say falls to them because a lot of people have it going in that top 3 right there. But I could easily see and again, this is without trade downs. I'm sure with trade ups, Drake may not fall to the Patriots here. But let's continue nonetheless. Green Bay Packers. Oofta. If I'm the Green Bay Packers here, I am definitely looking to try and rebuild my offensive line. Now, they have some key components on the defense, and they have some aging out players that they could definitely replace in the later rounds. I think the best option for me is to get a better offensive lineman and try and help Jordan Love have a little bit more time there. Hopefully in the second year, he's getting a little bit more comfortable. Granted, how many years has he had with the Packers, right? But in terms of sticking and picking, none of these quarterbacks, besides maybe Shedeur Sanders, Shedeur? Yeah. Besides maybe Mr. Sanders, I couldn't see going this far up. And it's a big maybe for him since he does play for Colorado. Let's be honest here. He plays for Colorado, and the strength of the opponents that they play versus these Big Ten schools just isn't quite there. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be great NFL players. Obviously, that is not what this means. But in reality, when your life, your career, everything, and for the careers of guys in the locker room, all wages on something, picking someone from that kind of school this high, it's really risky. It's really risky, especially at the quarterback position, because almost certainly quarterbacks are not going to thrive in their first year, maybe not even their first 2 years. Maybe they're a late bloomer like Josh Allen, right? So that being said, for the Packers, I think it's clear we should definitely be picking up an offensive tackle. And next up, what do you get the team that is so close to being a strong competitor, but is again so close to hit the rebuild button? I like Brock Bowers here just because that dude is an absolute beast in Georgia. I saw him, I did look at his highlights last year because I was kind of hoping that maybe somehow, because I think last year he was a junior, I was just looking at him, I was like, this dude is making plays after plays. He has been. I think he was a true freshman, too. Back when Georgia first hit their championship stride, I think he was a true freshman on that team. Starter, too. I like Brock Bowers. I really do. Draft him this high would make sense, but I could also see them needing an edge in Jared Verse. Anthony Richardson could definitely take off here, and I think giving him a reliable tight end would be a great option of strengthening this offense, because this offense needs to get clicking. I think their defense is a little bit too far away from being just a stout defense that takes them to the Super Bowl. They need their offense to be clicking more. And they have Anthony Richardson. They have Jonathan Taylor. So this makes sense, I think. Brock Bowers going to the Colts, and the Las Vegas Raiders picking up my tight end, my favorite tight end of last draft, and Michael Mayer. He hasn't underperformed, I would say, and I say that in alignment with the fact that the Raiders have underperformed. I mean, who would have expected? It's kind of hard for them to underperform, but I think they did this year. That being said, I think who the Raiders draft is totally dependent on 40 time here. Of course, I kid. I think drafting edge here to train underneath their current edges isn't a bad idea. And get in there, but I don't think that's the right idea. A lot of people that they could do this, but I think that's what they're going to do. I think they are going to pull the trigger and jump ahead a little bit. Instead of taking a wide receiver, they're definitely not taking an edge, I don't think. I think they're going to try and figure out their damn offensive lineman needs. And hopefully the offensive tackle out of Alabama could very well be the answer to them. And the Denver Broncos are up next. I don't know if they're going to sign Jerry Jeudy this year. I don't know if they consider him a success or what. But I think if Jared Verse is here, I think that is a clear decision. And again, a lot of this stuff is going to change based on combines, based on the remainder of the season being played out. Right? So, but for today, I think Jared Verse is that guy. LA Rams. First of all, I definitely don't think they're going to be up here in pick 10. I think they're going to be closer to pick 20. But the LA Rams, if they get in this position, of course, if Aaron Donald is retired after this, they're going interior D-line, right? Here's the thing. They definitely don't need a receiver. They don't need an edge, and they don't need an interior defensive lineman. Like, the best up would be a safety, which they kinda don't need. Like, it's a hard thing with no trade downs here. I think no trade downs, they're gonna go ahead and take an interior offensive lineman. I say offensive lineman. When I say that, I of course mean a defensive lineman in Jer'Zhan Newton. Now the Washington Commanders just today dished their two edge rushers, Chase Young and Montez Sweat. So I think they feel pretty confident in the edge rushing class here. And obviously if Dallas Turner falls to them, or Laiatu Latu falls to them, again, it's one of those things. Like, do you pick Alabama or do you pick UCLA? Or do you pick Penn State? It's like, who do you pick, right? And I think most people are going to lean them towards Alabama, just because Alabama usually plays with the best and plays against a lot of the best. I'm not saying that UCLA doesn't get the same treatment, or Penn State, but I think Alabama also gets some elite head coaching. Elite coaching all around, right? Some of the best coaches go to Alabama too, because why wouldn't they, right? I know if I'm a coach and I'm coaching up a high school or a D2 college team in Alabama comes to me and says, hey, I got this coordinator position. Yes, I am coming. He didn't even have to finish the sentence, I'm coming. I think a guy like Dallas Turner is gonna find himself on the Commanders this draft. That being said, the Arizona Cardinals are back up. They took Marvin Harrison Jr. and as we said, they could really use some competition in the quarterback room. Now, is this too soon to take Shedeur Sanders? Probably, but competition may make this worth it. And honestly, I could see them making that move. But I could also see them doubling down on Kyler Murray here, giving him a little bit more help, either in the wide receiver department or figuring out their defense. And their defense is pretty far off from being helped. And with them doubling down on Kyler Murray, I don't think they're going to snag another receiver at this position, but I do think Amarius Mims at the opposite side of Paris Johnson Jr. would be a fantastic fit for them. The Buccaneers still having that Super Bowl defense that's carrying them to better picks, worse picks. I mean, technically, carry them back down towards 20. They'll still have that defense intact this coming year, I believe. That being said, I don't think they're going to go ahead and pick up an edge here. I think this is the perfect spot for Shedeur Sanders to come on out and play. So I think the Buccaneers are going to pick up Shedeur Sanders. The Los Angeles Chargers, are they going to continue to draft receivers for Justin Herbert? I really don't think they should. I think, well, isn't Khalil Mack's contract up this year? I believe it is. And I think they got little to nothing out of him, so I could see them picking up an edge. I could also see them picking up a safety. But I think this year Adderley has been like above average, right? I don't think he's been that bad. Obviously, Derwin James is great if he can stay on the field, which has just been the big complaint about him. But so far, he's doing good this season, despite not being on the field the last few seasons. Let's go with Latu here for the Chargers. And Tennessee here. I remember in our 2023 draft, we had the Tennessee Titans picking up Michael Mayer. And someone said, oh, we have Chiggy Samad, dude, who did do decently well last year. But let's check his stats real quick this year. Okay, yeah, let's take a look at this. Chigo Ziem, Okonkwo. Yeah, Chiggy Okonkwo. 6'3", 238. He has 21 receptions for 145. And Michael Maher, 11 receptions for 148. So half the receptions, basically the same amount of yards. I don't know. Just going to leave that there. But the Tennessee Titans really need a little bit of everything. Man, if only they had a receiver like A.J. Brown that could help them out. Being sarcastic, I think Cooper DeJean is going to find himself as a Titan, assuming this is the area where his combine and everything finds him. I think he's going to find himself dressed up as a Titan. I think they're going to look to replace Kevin Byard. I mean, they dealt him, right? So, and let's be honest, that team's hitting a full freaking rebuild. So, starting your full rebuild with a safety, not a bad option, especially since great safeties can play at an elite level until they're 33, 34 in this league, much like Harrison Smith. He was the first drafted player, I believe, by, it's either him or Anthony but by the Zimmer regime for the Minnesota Vikings. He was one of the first drafted players, and he's still playing at elite level today. So I think the Tennessee Titans could look to go that way. Next up, New Orleans Saints. Here's the thing, it's a receiver heavy draft. And so like seeing these guys up here, like they're great. Don't get me wrong. None of them are Marvin Harrison Jr., right? You could definitely see these guys start to fall off here, but just in the NFL, better and better receivers are coming. And you find better and better receivers in later rounds, right? So I know some of you may be getting annoyed that, why does NFL mock draft base simulator have them all the way up here? Well, it's because the combine hasn't happened. It's because the rest of the season hasn't happened yet. I guarantee you by the time we do this at the end of the season, half these names aren't even going to be on this. That being said, if I'm the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to go ahead and pick up Demayon Robinson, the edge out of Penn State. And the reason why is because maybe he can sit behind it and learn Cam Jordan, but realistically, he's probably going to be a day one starter for that defense. And the Saints are definitely hitting rebuild territory. We could have also seen them reach for a quarterback there, but I just don't think that would have been the wise move. I think going edge there is a great idea for them. And the New York Jets here, of course, have a pretty solid receiver core. They're going to have Aaron Rodgers coming back. And honestly, the MILF lover, Zach Wilson, not too bad. Not terrible. He definitely has had he's looked better this year than he has in the other years. So that's a great sign there. So I don't think they're going quarterback. Marcus May, and keep him. They have really good cornerback duo. They really don't need one of those. I mean, honestly, if they're not taking an edge, having another great receiver is not a bad option for them. It's just a more stacked tight end draft here. That'd be a great option for them. All right, Malik Neighbors, I think, is going to be the Jets pick here because I don't think they need a safety. Granted, Marcus May's getting up. All right, good chuck. Any of these safeties have free safety, but I don't know. I think at that level, you got to go. You don't necessarily have someone who matches both best player available and a need for it. So going with Neighbors is not a bad idea. Giving Rodgers an extra weapon, not a bad idea at all. So Cincinnati Bengals, in the similar sense, they could go ahead, they could get Cameron Kitchens, right? Or they could go ahead and get a receiver to replace likely T. Higgins, because I think he only signed a 1 year with the team, and I don't think he's going to be back with the team. I think he's going to hit free agency and go chasing some more money. So we could see a receiver going their way right there in line. I think Keon Coleman is a great replacement for T. Higgins, 6'4", pretty shifty, 6'4", too, which, I mean, hell, his draft comparison might be T. Higgins, honestly. So, I don't know, it'd be pretty interesting. And let's see, the Atlanta Falcons. The number one thing that sticks out to me with the Atlanta Falcons is they desperately need a quarterback. And Michael Penix Jr. could be that guy, but I think the safer bet for them is going to be right here, McCarthy out of Michigan. I think, well, first of all, I don't think Arthur Smith's the answer. So I kind of hope he gets fired this year. But chances are, if I'm a betting man, he probably won't be. Nonetheless, I still think JJ McCarthy's the correct pick for them. And now we have the Minnesota Vikings up. This is an interesting one because Kirk Cousins is down. Are they going to re-sign Kirk Cousins? I don't know. Cameron Kinchens is up here. Are they going to take him and look to replace Harrison Smith? I don't think so. Is Brian Flores still going to somehow miraculously be their defensive coordinator next year? I also don't think so. Unfortunately, I wish he would stay forever, dude. Do they go ahead and draft another first-round cornerback? Or does the rookie quarterback out of BYU that we drafted, Jaren Hall, take the reins with Kirk Cousins being injured and put forth a showing that says, we probably don't need to draft a quarterback this draft? Do they look to get another receiver to replace KJ Osborne, who is likely hitting the road this free agency, this offseason? They currently have one of the best offensive lines in the league, believe it or not, according to PFF. And they've actually done a really good job. So I don't think they're going to look offensive line. They could pick up a guy like Nate Wiggins, look to pick up a receiver. But I think it would make a lot more sense for them to go ahead and chase down an edge player like JT here. And the reason why that is the case is because Danielle Hunter's contract's up. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. DJ Wanham's contract, I believe, is also up. Don't know if they're going to re-sign him. And on top of that, they need to plan to re-sign Justin freaking Jefferson, who's going to be so damn expensive. And Christian Darrisaw, who is also going to be so damn expensive. So I think getting an edge that could potentially plug and play into this scheme and maybe become an above average to superstar player, I think that's a great option for them. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are in a very, very interesting spot where they could go ahead and pick up another cornerback. They picked up Joey Porter Jr. last year. I was very high on him. I thought he was just a fantastic player, honestly. He was always in the right spot, like always in the right position to make a play. So I think he's not doing too terrible this year either. That being said, could they pick up a wide receiver? They could. Is Kenny Pickett that guy? I don't know. I want him to be. I want him to be that guy for them. At Pittsburgh High School, like, it's a Pittsburgh guy through and through. And I think they go ahead and try and bolster their offensive line and further surround themselves with further invest in Kenny Pickett. So Graham Barton, offensive tackle out of Duke, I think that's a great option for them. Next up, Houston Texans. Now, how about CJ Stroud, right? I don't think anybody could say they thought CJ Stroud would play this well, especially when you heard about his Wonderlic score being lower than a school bus. It was pretty insane. And of course, Nico Collins looking pretty solid on there. I have him on my fantasy, baby. But what would be the next step for them? I could definitely see them taking a receiver here. I could see them taking Emeka Egbuka. Of course, the former Ohio State receiver who formerly played with CJ Stroud. I could see that being an option for them. I could also see them looking the way of cornerback, but this is more of a gut feeling. I have a gut feeling that they're going to go ahead and take up Emeka, pair him with his former quarterback. I mean, that just makes sense. When you have a opportunity to put two guys together who have already worked out how to run routes and how they want to see it, I mean, that could be a very powerful combination. And now we have the San Francisco 49ers. By the way, we're in playoff territory here. So right now, they're projected as a first round exit. who knows what's going to happen, right? What do you get the team that seems to have everything? Don't think it's receiver. Do you think they go ahead and get a quarterback? Honestly, I think they could go ahead and get a quarterback. I don't think it's Michael Penix Jr. Again, I think it's great to have competition in that quarterback room. Brock Purdy has played very well, but this past two weeks after playing my Vikings, man, he's not looking so hot. And I think a little bit of competition is a great idea and great option. I think Bo Nix is a great option for them. And if he is there, that'd be really good for the 49ers. That being said, I don't think Bo Nix is dropping that low in reality. Next up, the Buffalo Bills. Who would they go ahead and take? Gabe Davis, I believe his contract is up this year, but I think they're probably going to end up signing him. They have Dalton Kincaid. Their offensive line isn't. Their defensive line pretty solid. I mean, their defense just plays solid football all around. That being said, Jordan Poyer is like 35, 36. I think Cameron Kitchens would be a fantastic fantastic option for them. Now, the Seattle Seahawks. All right, so I have a glitch there. Seattle Seahawks pick 25 here. Don't see them picking up another corner or another receiver for that matter. I think they could go ahead and invest in a quarterback here. I think that's not a bad idea. And honestly, if I am the Seattle Seahawks and I'm looking at the quarterbacks left, I'm going with Quinn Ewers. He was the #1 prospect coming out of high school. He went to Texas and played decently well. I think Arch Manning is still there in Texas as well. I mean, if I'm Seattle and I have a shot at this guy, I'm going to go ahead and take him. Do I think he's actually going to get that far back? Probably not. The Dallas Cowboys are in an interesting spot where Dak Prescott is it and is not it, both at the same time. Of course, they have good running back. They have a good offensive line. They have some pretty solid receivers. Trayvon Diggs did go down for the remainder of the year. I could see them going ahead and picking up either Nate Wiggins or Kalen King. I think Nate Wiggins gets the edge there. Now, Jacksonville here, it could use a lot of everything, but I think if I'm Jacksonville, I'm either going to go ahead and invest in another offensive lineman or I'm going to get a better corner. So Kalen King is up here, but I think the offensive lineman tax is real. So I think King Sumatia is going to be their pick there. Then the Baltimore Ravens. What could the Ravens use? A new offense? Probably. And I'm not saying a new offense like everyone on their offense is toast. I'm saying a new offense like a better offensive scheme. That being said, I think part of that would be picking up a cat like Xavier Worthy. I'm more highly on him than Rome Odunze. Detroit Lions up next. Oofda. I think they could go ahead and pick him up. Good. Have Kalen King as well. They like Jared Goff. They're keeping him. Their D-line done certainly pretty well. I don't know. If I'm between him, Kalen King, and Rome, I'm going to go ahead and pick up Rome. Nothing against Kalen King. It's just defensive backs seem to be more hit and miss than receivers these days. And the Miami Dolphins are up next now. They have a pretty solid team already. However, I think Christian Wilkins' contract is up this year, and I don't know if they're going to sign him again. I think he's going to make big money in free agency, and I don't think they're willing to pay him that. Though I totally think he is worth that. And do you go with the LSU cat or the Miami, Florida cat, right? I think Miami for this one. I know typically I pick bigger schools. I have the big school bias and I ride it freaking hard, but I am not complaining about it. Very upfront and forward with it. That being said, the Kansas City Chiefs. Who the hell do they pick up? I could see them picking up another cornerback in Kalen King. I could also see them trying to pick up another edge to make their defense a little bit more dangerous. I think if Kalen King falls to them, they're going to pick him, honestly. Kalen King, he's not bad. I just think I'm more highly on other defensive backs than him. But again, I think the Chiefs will, of course, happen to find some great players, just like the Eagles here at the tail end of the first round, just like they did with freaking McDuffie. I was so pissed the Vikings didn't pick McDuffie. Just saying. I've loved watching that guy out of college. That being said, finally, the last pick of this video is going to be Philadelphia Eagles. See, they lost TJ Edwards, so I 10 out of 10 could see them going for a Barrett Carter. I don't think they're going to go with another defensive line. I mean, they have so many great defensive linemen, honestly. Jalen Hurts, don't need that. Are they going to have these cornerback duo? Actually, yeah, I think both their cornerbacks are signed to longer deals. You know what? I think... So, here's the thing. Could very well be Barrett Carter in the middle of the field there. It could be Tyler Nubin, the safety out of Minnesota. And I honestly, it's a thing. I think they could use some more help at the safety position than they could at the linebacker position. And I think there are better linebackers for them to pick up later in this draft, and I think safety is going to be what they're going to end on. Alright guys, and don't mind this little thing right here that says I drafted 2 receivers for the Cardinals. Some weird glitch happened and I had to redo a bunch of stuff, and then I just started clicking whoever I knew that I took and eventually got it there. So sorry about that. Don't mind that. That's not actually who we picked. We did pick Marvin Harrison, but we did not pick Malik Neighbors with him. That being said, guys, this is the first draft this year. I fully expect this stuff to change up a good amount, and you guys can go ahead and let me know, who do you think your team should pick up? Who do you think is going to fall into your team? Who do you think is going to make your team a playoff contender or maybe even a Super Bowl contender? Did I miss something here? Very likely I did. Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Frag Football. See you later.